Roll call, please.
There's no Hicks today. Fish.
Here.
Baker.
Here.
Plummer.
Here.
Fergus.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Ferguson.
Here. We have a quorum, and we also have a short agenda, hopefully. So, first item on the agenda is sculpture restoration and preservation, and we have Patricia from representing one of the members of the Public Arts Commission, but I'm going to turn it over to Clara Beck. Do you want to introduce the?
Do you want me to introduce you, Patricia? I've practiced since 5:30, so. Good morning, everyone. My name is Patricia Wall. I am the acting chair of the Public Arts Commission. Naomi Schleichman was supposed to be here this morning on behalf of the commission. Early in the morning, sick kid. I was supposed to babysit. I'm here now. Ta-da. So, anyway.
Well, welcome.
I believe you have notes to look over as I address the ongoing deterioration of some of our public statues in town, specifically the relief at the library and the George B. Wright statue at Wright Park on Union. These two cement statues are the most critical. However, we also need to address at some point in the future the bronze statue as well. So I'm here on behalf of the PAC. A few key things to look at, the concrete at the library statue as well as the Wright statue. Looking at it from the outside, you can't tell, but from the inside, it's beginning to hold moisture like a sponge. So they're actually starting to deteriorate from the inside out and causing them to rot from the inside out. Nick Christensen with Broden Studios would be the person we would contract to fix these statues. He's aware of what's happening. He gave us a quote, did some research on all of them, and there are no sealants on either statue, so that's why, besides fixing the inside out, they need to be sealed properly. As well. When he does come to fix and repair these two statues, he has to do them in steps, while one's drying, one's being worked on, so on and so forth. So that's where we're hoping that the third one would also come into play. He travels from far away, so we want to take advantage of his time when he gets here to fix those statues. So hopefully during that time, he could also address the bronze statue as well. So I'm just here on behalf of the PAC this morning, just to be able to ask for a budget so that we could repair these public art pieces of our community. It holds the history of our town. There are prices I believe on the handouts you have, there are information about each statue. There are prices on what it would cost to repair the statue at the relief statue at the library, and as well as the Wright statue. Best case scenario and worst case scenario points on the statue for George B. Wright, and just a regular price for the library. It looks like they didn't really give a high or low end of that. And that is all that I have.
Thank you, Patricia, and thanks for the work of the Public Arts Commission. Obviously, it's very important that we preserve our history, in my opinion. So, what are the wishes of the council? Bill, do you have any recommendations on where this funding might come from?
Yeah. So within our public arts budget, we do only have about $1,800 in that budget. It's just the last few years we've started budgeting for art preservation. But I think, why don't you let Guy and I look through some of the other park area budgets and see if something could fit? Because the total of these three is, a little over 9,200. And certainly we agree things need to be preserved and taken care of. Again, we only have 1,800 in that public art budget right now.
Sure. So possibly within a park budget, or
Should we take a look, do you think? And then Monday we can see if we have a recommendation for you for.
And if it's not real imminent change or restoration work that needs to be done, we could budget for it next year.
maybe that would be a question. Would this person be available this year, or is this more a 2022 project?
When we met last week 2 weeks ago for our PAC meeting, we discussed this, the whole meeting basically, and with COVID and everything, we would have liked to have had Mr. Christensen come last summer to repair. He gets booked up, he travels from afar, just lining all those things up. And we were hoping, I think, Claire, can you elaborate on that? Did we discuss that we were trying to hopefully get him before
Yeah, so
it's necessary, the snow flies, or while the temperature is important too, to get him here this summer?
if it's possible, we would like him this summer yet, just because the deterioration is kind of bad.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but it's getting pretty bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe just a question too, if we can get them here and make this work. If we can't, worst case scenario, going through another season of cooling. I mean, I'm assuming maybe that requires then maybe a higher bid. Is there more work that would be required if it were to have to get kicked off in the 2022? Or,
Most likely.
but we'd at least be able to budget for it. But, okay.
So maybe we could
I-
look for a recommendation, a motion to bring this to the council with the input of the staff of how this might be funded. Scott?
I think it's not so much a question of whether we do it or not. I would guess that most of us would be in favor of doing the work. It's more a question of what pocket does the money come out of. And as a suggestion, I think that the one at the library could probably come from the library budget, and the other two from the park budget. Because of where they're located, it seems that would make sense. So for what it's worth, I'd lay that out there.
Sure. Would it,
I'll make the motion that we allow staff to come back for the council with a
I'll second it.
recommendation.
okay, so we'll bring this to the council Monday night with staff recommendation. We can go from there. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Patricia. Tell Naomi we hope her child is well.
Yes.
Item number 2 is Public Improvement 5314 Union Avenue from Fur Avenue to Lincoln Avenue, and Lincoln Avenue from Union Avenue to Freiburg Avenue, resurfacing project, and we'll call on our city engineer, Brian Uvaro. Good
Thank
morning,
you.
Brian.
Good morning, Your Honor and members. City of Fergus Falls programmed this Union Avenue project that extends limits showing on the map before you has been programmed into the State Transportation Improvement Program, referred to as the STIP, for year 2022. This is a 4-year transportation improvement program that outlines the schedule and funding of transportation projects by state fiscal year, which is July 1 through June 30th. This includes all state and local transportation projects utilizing federal highway funds. If you recall, we recently did Lincoln Avenue, just completed about 2 years ago. That was a STIP project as well. The map before you, this is the current project limits. We're looking to resurface the portions of the street from Union going south all the way to Lincoln east to Freiburg. And I do have a pending portion of Freiburg on there from Summit to Lincoln. That is not currently in the program, but we're looking to add that as amendment based on availability of fundings through this program right now, based on our conversation with District 4. We're also doing some base patching, utility review, and we also have to do some ADA improvements. Keep in mind Lincoln Avenue with the pavers. That's going to have to take a good look at what we can do. We all know some of the pavers are uneven, but to make ADA compliance, we're going to have to be a little creative, for lack of better terms, on how we're going to address some of those pavers downtown. But more to come on that. We're estimating this project is approximately over $1 million in costs. Based on the state STIP program, the federal share is about 80% of the construction. The remaining 20% of construction, engineering, everything is state aid eligible, and that's the process right now is what we're proposing for the funding source, so no local dollars. So at the time, I'm requesting to initiate Public Improvement 5314 and to accept Moore Engineering's professional service agreement for preliminary design in an amount of $71,600.
I'll offer that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Jim.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Tom. And just to be clear, so this is initiating in the project, getting the plans. Construction would be next year on this?
Oh, excuse me. Yes, Your Honor. Good point. Very good. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, at the earliest next year.
Okay, so this is just doing all the work to get ready to do this project and
It's a federal aid project, so there's a lot of
Sure.
paperwork that has to be done prior to this for this project. So
Sure. Thank you, Brian. Yes, Scott?
There's no local money except for the $71,000, or does that get rolled into the full project and then reimbursed back to us out of the federal and state money?
that 71,000 is accrued in the total project cost, which will be state aid eligible.
Other questions? Yes, Justin?
I just got a question. Great with how it is. Was it about a year ago, 2 years ago? Like, was it the county that approached us about up on that triangle and a roundabout?
Yes.
And I recall from that conversation it was a long range plan, but is that fair?
Yes, that's
remember
a
right.
fair, yeah, that was approximately a year ago, perhaps two. We did a roundabout study for the intersections of Tower, Union, and Fern Freiburg. That was a conceptual preliminary design. Recently, we did apply with the county and the city for LRIB transportation funds for the Fern Freiburg roundabout. We were unsuccessful with that venture, but I think it's in consideration if we do proceed with any of these intersections, that would be the primary intersection for a roundabout that we're going to proceed with. Union, however, yes, we have a conceptual design. Funding has been one of the main obstacles with that project because it's pretty extensive up there. But like I mentioned, in the interim, this is a resurfacing.
Right.
Until we get to that point, the county has recently, even after that, we did have alternate realignment. If you recall that a few years ago, but we'd have to have more discussions with that based on comments from local businesses and everything as well.
Thank you, Brian. Do you have any other questions for Brian? We have a motion. Yes, Tom.
Does this mean that the headline in the journal is going to be "City Council makes streets better"? Can we work on that?
We
Be nice. Be better than some of the past ones.
Yeah, but not this year.
Well, I mean, you know.
Maybe next year. All right. So we have a motion to bring this to the council. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. And last item on the agenda is Public Improvement 5333, which is Union Avenue Street and Pedestrian Improvement Project from Junius to Lincoln. And again, we'll call on Brian Navarro.
Thank you, Your Honor. The project plans and specifications have been substantially completed for the project before you, Public Improvement 5333. We're estimating the construction cost is approximately $640,000. Because of this, we have to do a public advertisement for a minimum of 21 days. Currently, the project plans are under District 4's review. I believe just recently we've received approval. So we're getting very close to start the bidding process with this project. I do have included in the packet, this project was initiated last summer. It's gone through we did have a public comment period for this project, online, everything. I've also included some most recent comments from local bike and pedestrian committee representatives and everything. If you look on those comments, we also did provide a few of our thoughts and responses to some of those comments as well. But as what I want to, based on the complexity of this project, I just want to go over a few things and just open up for any questions and everything, because this Union Avenue Lincoln is a major corridor within our city limits. And I'm just going to turn to I'm going to look to the project projector tier to my left, I guess to the north here. Just a few things I want to go over to. This is an exhibit, but very detailed exhibit of what's proposed on this project. Just want to point out, just to get our bearing straight and everything. This is Union Avenue 2 on the lower viewport. The southernmost project limit is Junius Avenue, Washington, Stanton Avenue, and Lincoln Avenue right here. If you can kind of see, it's a little bit harder for me here on that. I'll try to do my best and everything. But with this project, the number one goal of this project was a pedestrian improvement project for crossing Union Avenue. You can kind of see down here where my cursor is right here. That's the layout of the downtown riverfront project currently under construction. Component of this, if you recall, is the regional trail system that is going to extend within the city limits. Hence, the pedestrian improvement crossing. We wanted to lower the pedestrian exposure to traffic, time duration for crossing streets such as this. That's commonly done with bump outs and other devices as well. Moving on here, as we can see, I just want to point out a few things. Uh, you can kind of see right here the existing conditions of the sidewalks on Lincoln, elsewhere, and in Washington. I'm going to point up here to the Washington right here is what you can kind of see if you look a little bit more in detail. We're going to be doing some curb line work as well. We're extending the bump outs towards the center line. This is happening, but primarily at Stan. This was the primary area why we wanted to address this project. And you can kind of see the curb lines, the proposed curb lines versus what's expected. Parking stalls. We're trying to maintain parking throughout this corridor. I'm just pointing to some here, a little bit more defined. We'll have a little bit of loss, but I think we're trying to preserve as many as we can. Other key features, alleyways as well. This is kind of an extension. We will have a little bit more extended alleyways on the Union Avenue. And another component, major component, is the 6-foot bike lanes. As you can see, they will have striped bike lanes throughout this project. I want to point out some of the key features. They will have ramp access from the bump outs for just bikes onto the regional trail network. There is not an extension of any bike lanes any farther within this corridor. The attempts were to, if and when we get a regional trail system, was to try to maintain bicyclists within this area, something we have reviewed. It's rather difficult with the congestion. This is our highest ADT traffic. The other key components are we are maintaining the free right currently, but based on the curb line bump outs, this will be changed to a yielding merge right, which, as you can see in my observation too as well, that's commonly what people do as well at this intersection. So I don't envision too much significant change in that, other than, we are essentially taking the lanes through here, but trying to accommodate both still truck traffic as well. This construction is proposed. It depends, where we get. We're planning based on bid prices, but instead we have to do a 21-day advertisement. We are still planning on trying to get this constructed this year, if possible. Fully understanding we do have a lot of work going on here, and main goal of this project is to try to do this type of work under live traffic. So there will be a lot of traffic control devices throughout this little corridor through construction. We're proposing construction would primarily start either on the east side or west side, and we'd be diverting traffic on the opposite side of center line while the work is constructed on either side. That's yet to be determined. There will be an official detour up as well. However, we're still maintaining traffic at the best, safest we can through this area. There will be times, just primarily during the paving operations, that we would have to close down this free right just to do some resurfacing, but that will be addressed during construction. So I just wanted to point out just other few features here. There will be a little enhanced measure. This is an example of a sign. We have a few of them similar. Push button actuated controls to safety devices, solar as well, to help illuminate this crossing when inactive. So just want to point out a few key features with this project and just open up for any questions some might have with it. So at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you, Brian. Justin, did you have a?
Sorry for all my questions this morning. On that turn coming off Lincoln onto Union, that circle, and I think we've talked about it in the past.
Great.
I don't think you said the bump out's going to come any farther, but a lot of times vehicles are hitting that, not vehicles, but probably semis or longer vehicles with trailers are hitting that curb would be on the west. Yeah.
Right there.
Is it, being that we're going to be doing that section, is it possible to make it wider to the north on that triangle piece so they can?
Right there.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's something, I mean, maybe it's plenty wide and the people just need to drive more careful, but I just feel like that always gets hit with something.
Yeah, Your Honor, Mr. Mercer. Yeah, that's a good point. I think with the extension of the curb and everything, we have done some simulations with this particular intersection. So there will be an extension, minor alteration of that to increase the radius there. Obviously, yes, some trucks can, but there is a lot to as well, just for driver habits.
So is there a possibility to take out like that triangle piece to make that wider to the north so they have, you're saying they're gonna have a wider turning radius, so we'd probably have less infractions there?
Well, with this, this was the free, right?
Okay.
So essentially, is what we're doing is we're pushing with the truck traffic and everything is pushing closer to center line, hence closing that tight radius for trucks, along with a few modifications to curb line. So we're trying to improve
I trust you.
what you're referring on that.
Yep.
But we will have a double check.
I trust
Double look
you.
on
I
that.
just,
Well, I
I just see the
know
marks on the paint on the curb, so I trust you can get it fixed.
One of our delivery trucks one morning moved the planter there.
Yeah.
Well, that's something you only do once, probably. I'm thinking that perhaps Councilmember Arneson could stand out there with a sign, kind of like in the Tour de France.
Sure. You don't stop for those signs, I heard.
All right.
Only if you
So-
believe Facebook.
So what we're looking for is a motion to bring this to the council to accept the plans and specifications and to authorize the bids for this project. Would someone like to author?
second it.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Brent. Any other questions? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Brian.
Brian. I do not believe there's any other items to come before the council. Justin, did you have a?
Your Honor, I have something I just want to give the committee the whole an update on, if I could.
Yes, please.
This is on the FBO manager airport update. At our last council meeting, I acknowledged that we were going to try and meet before the rough draft came out and was unable to do that, just schedules and timing. So we were able to meet on the last Wednesday, the 23rd, as a working group. Kind of went through the contract and made some adjustments, and then provided it to Sky Crew Services last Wednesday. And then we had scheduled a meeting with myself and Brian and Rolf and Mike Hartwell and Sky Crew Services on Monday to go over any questions, concerns, and kind of flush out some of the details. So I had a very good, productive meeting on Monday. It was a couple hours long. There were some things on both sides. It was more just clerical things, nothing that was major. I would refer to them as pretty minor. And so I think we're in a good position to move forward with not only the working group, but also Sky Crew Services with a contract before you Monday night to consider. And again, just want to reiterate the working group that you established for us was to come back with a recommendation, and so that's going to be something we have for you guys to consider on Monday night, so.
Tuesday, yep.
Or Tuesday, yes,
So
thank you.
Tuesday night, we're gonna have that contract for the FBO and consider that. Thanks for the work on that, Justin.
Yeah, no problem, it's been good.
Yeah.
So you knocked that one out of the park.
And so just a reminder that July 5th is a holiday, City Hall's closed, most city businesses are closed, our city operations. It's a council meeting Tuesday, July 6th, right here, 8:30. Lynn, did you have anything else? Anything else to come before the council? Adjourn. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, wow.
Tomorrow at 3, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, Andrew.